Hey everyone, and welcome to the Class 2 prerequisite video. Similar to the Class 1 prerequisite, we have to get some things installed before we can start building. This is a lot lighter than Class 1. We're just installing a Google tag and setting up a quick database account. So it should be pretty quick, but still necessary to do before we jump in and start building the dashboard. So I'll go through a lot of the concepts and walk through the setup with you guys, and it won't take that long. So the first thing we want to install is a Google tag. And if you're not familiar with Google Tags, basically what it does is it tracks what people are doing on your site. So that way you have analytics of where they're coming from, what part of the world they're in, how long they're spending on your site, and you can start tracking events of what are they clicking, and how long are they spending on different sections and things like that. It's really useful information when you want to start tracking the performance of your website, figure out where you can improve, make it more engaging, but also like help figure out where the traffic is coming and going through the site. And so it's really good to have all of this data. And then the purpose of the dashboard class is to use that data in such a way that informs decisions and allows you to improve the performance of not only the site, but your business overall. So it's pretty easy to do. The first thing you want to do is create a Google Analytics account if you don't already have one. A lot of people already have a tag, so it's just really easy to go into your current analytics account and just search for the measurement ID. There's a search bar at the top, it'll spit it out for you. So you really only need this tag in order to install it. We care about a web data stream for this. There's a lot of different surfaces Google Analytics can track, but since we're doing a website, the web data stream is what we're tracking. And then I have directions down here if you want the Google official documentation on how to do it. But realistically, you can also just ask Claude if you get stuck, and it'll walk you through it, no problem. So once you have the tag, uh, if you're installing it in the website we built in Class 1, then we're going to hand it off to Claude to install, and it'll just take care of it for us. And then when we push and deploy, then it'll be live and we're good. If you're not done with your website, you can still do this class. If you have an existing website, all of the main website hosters that are traditional for people to use have a place for you to put this. I've included documentation here for you to do it. It doesn't really matter. What's important for purpose of class 2 is that we start collecting data so that way we know how to build the dashboard. So in this case, it doesn't really matter which source, which type of website you're going to do it. What's important is that we're collecting data. And so a lot of you may already have this set up, in which case you can kind of fast forward because you have the tag collecting data, and then we'll just move on to the Supabase setup. But if you do not have it set up, I've already copied my tag, so I'm going to give it to Claude to install. So okay, so now that it's done installed, we want to test if it actually works. So we'll go to this tag assistant here. We'll open it up and we'll add our domain and it will check for us. Tag assistant connected. And then there was finish and it looks good. So we're good. It works. Let's just make sure. Yep. Okay, so we're good there from that testing point of view. And then you can do this in the analytics dashboard. There is a real time uh, check where you go to a real time tab while you're on the website, and you should see one active user at minimum, um, which is you. So between these two things, that should tell you that it's connected and working and collecting data. So that's all we have to do in terms of the installation. But then we want Claude to be able to read the actual analytics. And so this is going to be important for the dashboard because Claude needs to go and retrieve the analytics, see what's in there, and be able to build a dash based off of that. So we have a prompt here to paste in for Claude, but most importantly, we want to start a new dashboard project. So do not use the same project as your website. The dashboard will be its own standalone project that we're going to use. So if you remember how to do that, we want to create a new window. And this is the thing with Visual Studio is it's not a new file because this is just a big fancy folder manager or file manager. So we're going to create a new folder here. So this is going to be the dashboard. So we're going to create that and open brand new project, nothing contained in it. So we are going to be starting from scratch. And we don't need any of this stuff. And then, Claude doesn't automatically appear, so we have to do the hacky trick. Oh, it's not even installed as an extension. That's interesting. So in case this happens, you just have to go to the extension and enable it. It may not do it globally, but in this case, now it's enabled. So if we go back over here, you'll see that it is available. So good. And then since this is the dashboard project, this is where we can paste that prompt so that it can get things set up. And while it does that, I'll just delete this file since it's a nothing file. Okay, so this is all set up, and now you want to follow these directions. So basically what it did was it created its own account, which you can then use, which it then uses to read all of your data. So you're going to follow these directions, go to admin, property, add users, and add this exact email with the role viewer. No reason to notify and add. And then while you're in there, you'll grab the property ID and paste that here, and then it'll all be set up. So I'll walk you guys through that now. So we'll go to analytics.google.com in the admin. Then we're going to look for property and property access management. So here's the admin. Property is here on the left, and property access management is what we want. And we have all of these different emails. So we'll add one, add user, and use the one that it gave me. And then we only need to uncheck notify new users and then viewer here. And then we'll add. And then the other thing it wanted was the property ID. So you could just search for it and copy it. And then, so added the email, and here is the property ID. Okay, so that's all set up. So we are good there. So we no longer need anything in Google Analytics. So all good. I just walked you through this process, but just to reiterate, we'll sign into Google and then we'll add an email so that it can actually use it as a viewer. Okay, so the next thing we need to set up is a Supabase database. So basically, like we did with Versal and GitHub, we're just going to create a Supabase account and we'll link it with our GitHub sign-in, just like we did the other ones. Basically, what this is it's a free database that you can use to store data and use to build apps, websites, store performance information, whatever it is. It's very similar to a SQL database, so you don't really need to know how we'll set up the tables and everything like that. Claude will handle most of that for you, but just think of this as a free, secure database to store your data, which we'll use to build the dashboard off of. So you'll go to Supabase here and you will get started with GitHub. I already have an account, so I'm just going to sign in and come back to this. But here are the directions: new organization, new project, set a password or let it generate one, but make sure you keep it safe. Use a password manager, highly recommend that. Use two-factor authentication. This is going to have your company data in it, so you want it to be secure. Ask Claude how to do that if you don't already know. And then pick a region that's closest to you. Okay, so once you're signed in and the account is fully created, which I already have one, so I'm not going to go through that process, we'll use this prompt to get Supabase set up with Claude. Basically, I have a repo with all the class materials and a set of directions on how Claude can integrate with it. Supabase is really good at allowing Claude to hook up to it. So it's just repurposing the directions from Supabase so that you don't have to go and find them yourself and figure it out. It's just a lot easier and faster. Okay, so since I already had a lot of this installed and set up and I'm connecting it to an existing dashboard project I have, the setup may have been a little bit faster, but just follow the directions. That's the whole point of this. And then you may have to restart. And what's important here is that's when Claude is installing the Supabase MCP, which we went over in the last class. And just as a reminder, MCP is how Claude hooks up to Supabase as a service. And so in order for it to load into Claude, you're going to have to reopen the chat. So what you want to do is look for this clock icon. This is your historical conversations. So I'll show you right here. These are the historical conversations. So what you'll do is, okay, we're completely out of it. Claude's completely closed. And so when you go back to Claude, you're going to get a blank screen, but you want to pick up where you left off. So you'll go back to the same conversation and then you'll just say something like continue or reset up. It'll check everything is loaded and then you should be off and running, no problem. And then once you're done, you're fully set up and ready for the next class. And with anything, if you get stuck or don't really know what to do, just tell Claude what's broken and what's going wrong, and it'll walk you through it and fix it.